All righty. Good morning, everyone. My name is Audrey Marufo. I am the training coordinator here at the Small Business Development Center in El Paso, Texas. So happy Thursday. Thank you all for joining us today. The Texas South-West SBDC network is excited to bring you this webinar today, Effective B2B Sales Strategies. Before we get started, a little about the SBDC. The SBDC is a federally funded program. We're funded in part by the SBA, the state of Texas, and our various host institutions. This allows us to offer no-cost confidential business advising, technical assistance, specialized assistance, educational, and training programs. We encourage you to utilize the services of the Texas SBDC network to assist you throughout your business venture. We're fortunate to have an awesome group of business advisors throughout our network to work with you from the start and throughout your business venture. So please visit us, utilize our services, and to locate your local SBDC, visit americassbdc.org. All righty. So here at the SBDC, we always have our ear to the ground, y'all, listening to the needs of small businesses. We find that they want to keep learning and probably need to keep learning. Obtaining sales is one of the many areas where business owners need to craft and refine the skill. Today's session will show you just that, how to seek, how to find, and develop long-term relationships with potential customers, deliver value and service that boost results for your small business. Leading today's session is a longtime friend and partner of the Texas SBDC network, Alex Barea. And I will just give you a brief on Alex. No, actually, I'm going to turn it over to Alex and let him tell you about himself and his stellar experience in assisting small businesses. Hold on, Alex, before some housekeeping rules. This is a Zoom webinar format. Attendees do not have access to speak. However, they will be able to upload their questions through the Q&A or chat function available at the bottom of your screen. We will have time at the end of our workshop to answer questions. Any slides or handouts will be sent out after the workshop. And to replay this webinar, we will send you an exclusive link to view the recording. Now, Alex, I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a strong supporter of the SBDC and small businesses. And we're ready to hear and we're ready for you to share your knowledge and expertise for small businesses. Alex, it's all yours.
Well, welcome everyone. It's an honor being here with you always, every single time. I've been lucky to be an entrepreneur in a lot of parts of Latin America and the US. I have actually started doing business when I was 16 to pay my way through high school. And I've basically never stopped. And after that, I've worn so many hats in life. Thank you for sharing your information, Anna, by the way. Everybody, if you can share your information, tell the world what you do. And I jumped in the tech scene. I am still part of that group of tech professionals. I was actually in sales and customer success. And sales can be extremely stressful. And if you know what I mean, and I'm 100% sure you know what I mean. And the goal today is going to be sharing tactics and strategies that I have learned selling software and selling services as a small business owner over the years and with my clients. A little bit about me. I am very mixed. I'm an entrepreneur since I was 16, like I mentioned before. I speak 6 languages. I have built and sold 3 companies successfully, and I have failed quite a few others as well, just so you know. I've been through the whole spectrum of frustration, no's, you can do it, yes, you can, I'm successful. Then when I'm too successful, I became arrogant. So I have seen, I would say, a lot. I wouldn't say all because I don't think that's possible. And again, my goal is to share this with you. It's going to be conversational. It's going to be anecdotal, but we have a lot of data to share with you. And the goal is for you to have specific tactics that apply to your business so that sales can be less stressful to you. Without further ado, let's take a look at the content I have built for you. I'm going to be showing you a presentation. Sometimes I'm going to be directing you to the camera as well, so that I'm going to be explaining some things. And sometimes we might use the whiteboard. Please ask your questions either in the chat or the Q&A feature. I will answer everything. And thank you, Dominique. Thank you, David. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody who is here today. Now let's go to our presentation today. B2B sales, leveling up your sales game. If you're here today, you may have been experiencing trying to sell to consumers or trying to make too many small sales, and you want higher levels of volume. You want to grow faster. You want to sell a lot more. You want to do 50% growth this year, which is a lot. That's why you're here. I hope that's the case. If not, please share it with me. I'm still very happy to listen to you. Let's take a look at this. So less is more increase. So like I mentioned before, if you're here, you probably, what you're looking for is, hey, Alex, how can I sell more expensive invoices? How can I do higher volume sales? Who can I sell that to? How can you increase your win ratio? That's super important. If you have a certain number of people coming into you from Nextdoor, from Yelp or Google, and then you're losing, let's say, 80% of the people who come to you, you of course want to increase your win ratio. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to do. And I'm looking to reduce the stress for you in that. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that? You have two paths. You can, if you sell to consumers, if you have a restaurant, there's many types of businesses. If you sell insurance, if you're a restaurant, if you sell services, if you sell consumer goods, anyway, you basically have two paths to sell a lot more with a lot less effort. Now, let me tell you one thing. Selling, I was actually a salesperson for a startup company, and I sold to the Fortune 500 companies, and it took me somewhere between 8 months to 15 months to close. Probably somewhere between $250,000 to $1 million deals per year. And I was basically closing back then roughly 8 to 15 deals a year. So that's a pretty juicy sales commission. And let me tell you this, after that, I started working for another startup that sells what's called mid-market. So let me share this with you so that you have, let me put this in the chat so that you have it. Mid-market. Mid-market is when you're selling to small to medium-sized companies. And it was still software, very similar software, very similar end users. And I can tell you for a fact that selling, let's say $5,000 a month deal to a company, it's very close to the same amount of work that you're going to need to do if you're going to sell $500,000 a year. Are you going to need to navigate? Do you need to know different things? Yes. Are they the same deals? No. But the amount of work, how much paperwork, how many sales calls, how many people you're going to talk to, it's not super different. And this is some of the learnings that I want to pass on to you. I want you to gain a vision of, oh, wow, I can sell much bigger deals. And invest a very similar amount of energy. Now, for that, we have something called competitive bids and something called non-competitive opportunities. And this is applicable to companies. You're going to hear another term called enterprise sales, which are very similar. The reason why I'm not putting them as an extra here is because enterprise sales are actually very similar in size and procedures to competitive bids. But Alex, why is one called competitive bids and the other one is called enterprise sales? Because enterprise is for corporations and private companies, and competitive bids is usually intended to government entities, nonprofits, these kind of organizations who are going to buy big volumes, basically governments, state governments, local governments, even the federal government. And they have a very specific process that's competitive. The idea is for you to have a general idea of what a competitive bid is. I want to give you a general idea of what you're going to need to be ready for. This is not an extensive course. Just so you get an idea, for you to learn to do competitive bids and win competitive bids, it doesn't take any less than 4 weeks of very intensive learning, if not 10 weeks. Actually, I just learned that there's a new government contracting course sponsored by an SBDC here. Actually, it's not sponsored, it's sponsored by the SBDC, but it's sponsored by the Government Contracting Center. And it's 10 weeks long. That gives you an idea of how much work. And I'm going to place a lot more focus today on the non-competitive opportunities, because that is, let's call it the low-hanging fruits. And I will explain why. Perfect. Again, remember, if you have any questions, there's no such a thing as silly questions. You let me know. Hey, Alex, what is this? What is that? You said something and I don't understand what you're saying. That is perfect, because all of this is supposed to be new terminology for you. Let me talk to you about a really cool business case. This is a client of mine, and they are a cleaning company, and they had an average sales. So they used to do residential cleaning services, and they still do a little bit of it. And they have the same problem that I was sharing with you before. I'm doing a lot of work, I'm doing a lot of sales, but my sales are too small and they're eating up into my profits. What can I do to do bigger sales, Alex? That was the requirement when they came to me as a business advisor. And you should know that this also happened through the SBDC. Okay, this is real numbers that happens for an SBDC client. That tells you how cool the SBDC really is. Their average ticket was $150. Okay, and that's not bad. They were able to do 3 or 4 services a day. What did we do? Okay, what are your niche options? When I say niche options, who can you sell to that is a bigger organization than something small? Luckily, almost any business, when I say almost, I know that there is exceptions. Almost any business can be pivoted into competitive bids and non-competitive opportunities. If you say, even if you have a restaurant, you can turn your restaurant or expand your restaurant into a catering business. You can start selling packaged pastry. There's always a way for you to pivot. So we said, hey, what are your niche options? What this business did is they listed out veterinarian hospitals. Then they also listed out office buildings. And then they also listed out, the last one was, oh yes, homeowner associations for seniors and for non-senior homeowners association. And they said, hey, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. They just picked one, and they went for veterinarian hospitals and veterinarian clinics. And what they did is they created a cleaning package. They created a bundle, a combo. Think about McDonald's, think about Burger King. And they said, hey, guess what? We're going to offer you, facility cleaning. We're going to clean your car. We're going to be doing the sweeping and the vacuuming, and blah, blah, blah. But also, if you want, we can do your glasses, your windows. And then also we can pressure wash this. So they created a combo. And what they did is they Googled every single hospital or clinic that was within their area of influence. They actually took a 30-mile radius. Sometimes we have to be aggressive. And they started calling them up. But before that, they built something called a marketing capability statement. And we're going to talk more about this. Real case scenario. They were selling. So this sales company, this cleaning company was making, and this is real numbers, they were making $7,800 a month, and they had a peak month where they had $9,000 in 1 month. So this is real numbers. And after we implemented the strategy of non-competitive opportunities, they right now today, the last report that I got from them from last Thursday is they are reporting $17,000 a month. This is real numbers with contracts, with actual contracts. And I will explain why contracts are so important and valuable to you. So you can see the bump in sales. And the effort, again, is almost the same as the effort of selling to 30 residential clients as opposed to selling to 7. The other interesting data you want to know about this particular business case, whose name I'm not allowed to disclose because the owner wouldn't want, didn't feel comfortable with me saying their brand name, is that they had, when they were making $9,000 a month, they roughly had 20 customers. And remember, this is residential, okay? And now they actually only have 13 customers, but these are not residential anymore. These are clinics, okay? The other thing you need to know about these numbers is that it took them specifically 7 months to achieve these numbers. So it was pretty fast. Of course, when I say 7 months, they actually grew and grew and grew and grew. And at the beginning, they kept some of the residential customers and they started changing the proportion of their customers with time. That's why it took 7 months. But the sales began paying off after day number 41. Real numbers again. So this shows you how once you start scaling up, you can start making a lot more money. But it takes some work. It takes some work. And what is that, Alex? Now, before we move on to that, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And I mentioned contracts. You have a business and your business makes money, but you want your business to be valuable as well, because one day you may want to sell it. When you don't have contracts and you have recurring customers who are not on a contract, your business valuation is going to be at least 35 to 60% lower than a business that has the exact same amount of sales with contracts, at least. So it's always a good idea to get a contract to show that you actually have paying customers who are going to be working with you for the next 6 months, 1 year, however long that takes. And to give you a very cool example from the tech world, in the first company where I was an enterprise salesperson and I was working with Fortune 500 companies, I sold and closed 3-year deals. Every single one of my deals, the smallest one, the shortest one that I sold was a 2-year deal, but every single one of my deals was at least 3-year deals. That company, so every contract that I sold was valued by the valuing company, the valuing agents, as X5 factor. So 5 times the value of the contract, that was the value of the sales that I closed for that company. If you don't have a contract, that value drops to X2 or X1.8. That gives you a very clear idea of how important it is for you to close bigger deals with contracts. Let's go back to our presentation. I'm going to take a couple of steps back. In our presentation, hold on, okay, because this is not PowerPoint. This is Canva. I'm still getting acquainted with it. So please bear with me. Sorry about the tour. Now, let's talk about competitive bids and non-competitive bids. Let's take some notes. What is the difference, Alex? It's actually really interesting and relatively simple. When you talk about competitive bids, there is always a threshold. Every single city office, municipal office, county office, or any government entity will have a threshold for them to say, if I buy something that is less than this much, I have to do by local law, I am forced to do a competitive bid. And that usually, so there's a lot of variation, whether you're working with a school district, you're working with a city office, you're working with the water department or the power department or the power company. But just to give you an idea, that can be anywhere between $5,000 as the minimum threshold. So if this company, let's say the San Francisco school district, or in this case, we're in Texas, the Caddy School District in Dallas, to have one very specific real example. If they buy something that's less than $5,000, they don't need to do a competitive bid. No need for a competitive bid. Okay, but if they buy something that's going to be above the $5,000, then their regulation forces them, makes it mandatory for them to do a competitive bid. Now, that range can be anywhere between 5K, it's a terrible color, let's choose a darker blue. So anywhere between 5K, and I have seen yesterday, for example, I went to a meeting for these kinds of opportunities, and the threshold was $50,000. It really depends on the size of the company, depends on their policies, depends on the local regulation. So if you are below that, that is your low-hanging fruit, because then you're looking at something called the non-competitive opportunities. I'm not saying don't go for competitive bids. They're really cool, and I love them. That's what I have been doing for the last 9 months of my life, and I love it because it's doing sales, but with a lot less of the stress of making quota. Because when you're a salesperson, you have to make quota. I noticed that we have somebody who's in insurance, and making quota can be one of the single most stressful things in the universe. Now, non-competitive is basically below the threshold of competitive bids. And this is where it gets really interesting. If they're going to buy something that's below the threshold, and they're not bound by contract to buy from their vendor that they have in a contract, then they can buy from anyone. And it's up for grabs. And that is where you can go in, and you can literally close sales that are going to be somewhere between the $3,000 and the $15,000, which is really good. And how to win those? You're still competing because you're never alone. We have to face the fact that we're never alone. We're always competing against someone. So what do you need? So after we saw the business case, if you have any questions or any notes, please know. Now let's take a look at that. I mentioned in the business case that this person wrote a marketing capability statement. That is going to be your step number one. Before you go anywhere, before you talk to anyone, you're going to need this little thing called the marketing capability statement. And it's, what's a colorful way to describe it? It's a resume. It's a company resume that looks pretty, and it's super condensed. Sometimes not even that condensed. It's just really crammed up. Okay, now let's take a look. So this is your basic marketing capability statement, and it's going to have some specific things. So you're going to say what your services are. You're going to say what you do. And this is where I hope you haven't fought with that. Don't beat around the bush. Just say what you do, period. If you do cleaning, if you do power washing for windows, if you do translation services, if you do insurance brokerage for a specific specialty of insurance, then just be as clear as you possibly can. Note, if you do many different kinds of services, you're going to have to make a marketing capability statement for each one of the services that you provide. If you have services that are not complementary or related in the same marketing capability statement, it's going to play against you. As you can see, you're going to have your core competency. So there's many ways to do a marketing capability statement. And now for that purpose, now I'm going to show you one of the ones that I have built. So this is one marketing capability statement. As you can see right there, core competencies. Okay, and this is specifically for curriculum design and program design for language learning. And then you have document translation. So as you can see, I'm using very simple language saying exactly what we do, period. And I am focusing this particular marketing capability statement on specialty, which is children K-12, teachers K-12. So what I'm doing is I used this particular marketing capability statement for competitive and non-competitive bids for school districts. That basically tells you, gives you an idea of the marketing capability statement, the scope, and how you have to do it. What's the next thing that you need to have in a marketing capability statement? Past performance. And I'm going to make another parenthesis. The SBDC can help you write this thing. They have extraordinary experts who can help you draft it. They can help you look at it. They can help you make it look beautiful. So sign up, get an account, get an advisor, and take care of your marketing capabilities. So past performance, look at this. The detail, you can't have a lot of detail on your past performance. Ideally, what I have seen that works is if you have your past performance by project or by clients where you have very specific numbers, that's the winning formula. Past performer, 5 years of services. This is how long we've been in the market. We have a 99% record of on-time delivery for our services. 100% faster turnaround than our competition, real number and true. Our clients, so I'm specifically saying what the industries are of our clients and a few names of our clients. If you can, make sure you check with your clients whether you can put their names in your marketing capability statement. And right after that, what you'll see is that I have differentiators. What makes our service different, better? So translations, this is what works. This is the best thing that you can do. The next thing that you will notice is, what else do you need? Of course, you need your company information. Where is your company located? You need your company contact information, cell phone, email. Of course, you need a website. Now, let me share some of the data. Everything is happening on social platforms today. True. Yes. So people are thinking, hey, website, landing pages are dead. Super false. Because what happens today is that people find something awesome on social media, they consume it, they follow it, and then they want to see a website. Because the website has a particular superpower. A landing page has a particular superpower. It helps people trust you. A good-looking professional website is going to help people understand that you are serious about your business and about what you do. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. Can you see this crazy number right there? That is the number that is slowly but surely replacing the Duns and Bradstreet number. In the past, when they ask you to register for competitive bids or non-competitive opportunities, they used to ask you, and they still do ask you for your Duns and Bradstreet number, which is something that you can get for free at Duns and Bradstreet. If you already have it, fabulous. If you don't, you can go and get it for free. However, what's going on now is that most government entities and now a lot of the non-government entities are homogenizing, standardizing things, and they're asking you for this number, which is called a unique enterprise identification number. And this is something you can get when you register in SAMS.gov, which is a federal government system that allows you to register, and it tells the federal government and many other people that your business does exist and it's ready to operate in the activities that you say that you can do. The next element you're going to need in your marketing capability statement is your NAICS code, which is the specific codes that you can find that explain what your activities, what your specialties are with this very specific numeric code. Now, if you have certifications, This is where you put them right there. If you're a small business enterprise, minority-owned business, here in Texas, historically underutilized business, and so forth, you can put them right there. And if you have other professional certifications, this is where they go. And now you have a very interesting list of what you need to have in your marketing capability statement. The next step is, hey, Alex, where can I build one? Yes, as you can see, you can use Word, Microsoft Word, and that's it. Or if you want something that looks prettier, this is free too. 99% of the times I share tools that are free for businesses that want to grow, because you need some help. You need to cut costs at the beginning, early on, so you can grow really big. Now let's move over to Canva. If you will please follow me on our presentation. Now I'm moving to Mozilla Fire to my browser, and I want to show you canva.com. This is where you can become a designer without being a designer. There is actually a free account you can use with canva.com. I personally use a paid membership because the value is extraordinarily high, and it pays for itself because it's going to save you so much money on designers. You go here to the search feature and you write marketing capability statement. You press enter, and this is what you're going to see. Okay, and it's taking a little while to load. What's going to show you is the templates that you can use, and that's it. Look at it. You can just take one of these templates, like this one, the one over here that says Digital Marketing Training Manual, and fill it out. That's it. No complications. You don't need to hire a designer, find a designer, and pay a lot of money to a designer. Just go here, find a template, click on it, and then click on customize this template. And then all you need to do is fill out the information that I detailed before. And now you got yourselves a marketing capability statement. Real numbers. I spoke with a client yesterday. I spoke with a client at 11 a.m. It was probably around 2 p.m. The client wrote to me and showed me his marketing capability that he designed with Canva. It took him less than 2 hours. And that was mostly because he was out delivering product for his business. There you go. And you can customize everything, as you can see. Just click here, change it. Click here, change it. Anything you want to change, you can change it. And this is how easily you can get your marketing capability statement. Now let's go back to our presentation. So now you have a fairly good idea. As you can see, for example, this marketing capability on the right. It's a colorful, design-driven marketing capability statement. Don't waste too much time deciding what kind of marketing capability statements you're going to do. Don't let that slow you down. Pick one, move forward. It's going to change with time because the one you're going to be writing today is going to be your first one. So don't worry about it. Don't waste any time. Now, let's go back to, so we spoke about the non-competitive opportunities. What do you need to do, whether in competitive or non-competitive opportunities? This is where it gets interesting. What you need to do is, let's switch over to Mozilla again. Follow me. I'm going to do this with you so that you see exactly what you can do. You can either check on Google and city offices near me. And this is going to show you all the city offices near you. Or you can just go ahead and click on the map. And look, these are the city halls. So you got City Hall, San Antonio City Hall, Leon Valley City Hall, blah, blah, blah. Just make it larger and you start finding out. You click on this Live Oak City Hall. You go to the website. and you send them a message asking, can you please help me, direct me to the vendor's registration portal? On 99% of cities in the US, counties in the US, government entities in the US, and large companies will have a vendor registration portal. Write on the chat, vendor registration portal. And they're gonna either send you to the vendor registration portal, they're gonna send you a link where you can go ahead and register yourself, or they're gonna send you to the procurement department where they're gonna get back to you with PDFs or any kind of manual that's gonna show you how to get registered. This is how you win non-competitive bids, by being visible. You need to be visible when people are looking for what you sell. So let's say they don't have a contract, but they need somebody to take care of the burrito, breakfast tacos for a meeting that's happening tomorrow, next week on Tuesday. And they don't have a contract, a vendor on a contract. Hey, let me see who can help me with the catering. If your company is registered as a vendor with the city, then they can find you. If they find you, they reach out to you. And then if you're fast, and I'm going to give you some tactics, you can win that business. Next thing you need to know, for all of you Texas business people, Texas entrepreneurs, I'm doing this with you. You need to register your business, whatever happens, in the centralized master bidders list. It's going to cost you $75. It does cost. You see the status code. So basically, if you go to the CMBL, you can see everything that's going on. You can see government entities in Texas who are doing purchasing processes, but also government entities who are looking for non-competitive vendors, for vendors for non-competitive purchases. That's where they find you. So you just go here for CMBL application, and it's going to take you to where it's got to take you. You're going to create a user ID. You're going to have your password, and done. Make sure you register yourselves in the CMBL in Texas. That is the key #1 step for anybody who wants to be found for larger deals in Texas. And again, fortunately, it's a really easy tool to use because it's not a platform per se, it's more of a directory where people can find you. Okay, and it's going to cost you $75 a year, which I think is not too bad. So now we have a pretty clear idea of what you can do. Go to the city portals, talk to them, ask them, hey, where's your vendor registration portal? And they're going to point you to the right direction. I want to show you, before we move forward, to another place where you can register so many things. Many. So what's happening is that a lot of the cities have their vendor registration portals with a software company. And there's quite a few out there, but there is really about 5 that are really big. I'm just going to show you one today, which is called Bonfire. So you can see Bonfire vendor portal. And in Bonfire, there's actually quite a few. Bonfire is super strong in Texas. So you're going to find quite a few government entities in Texas do business through Bonfire. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. For example, El Paso uses IonWave. To give you an example, they don't use Bonfire. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Because then you can still register for free. Registration at the vendor portals for most of the cities and government entities is free. I have not found one that is paid. I believe that's a regulation thing, but as far as I know, 99% of them are free for you to register. So that is how you achieve visibility. In Bonfire, for example, I personally pay for the premium subscription in Bonfire, which gives me more visibility, and it's among the most affordable ones, Bonfire, because there's other options that are way more expensive. And if I'm honest, I did evaluate them. They're not that much better, but they will still help you. And this is how you get the other part, which is the competitive bids. We're not going to jump there. But even if you're not doing competitive bids and you register for, look, let's see, for example, town of Glastonbury, I'm going to go to this opportunity that is being recommended to me. And even if I'm not going to bid, even if I'm not going to submit a proposal to the town of Glastonbury, you register with them, because now they have you as a vendor in Bonfire. So the next time they're looking for something, that one of the services that you provide, you have a much higher chance of being found. Pause. So this is non-competitive opportunities. You can get a contract. Sometimes you just get a purchase order. They're pretty reliable way for you to make much bigger sales. And the other option is competitive bids. And that's a completely different conversation altogether. But let's take a look at a checklist that's going to help you, whether you're doing non-competitive or you are doing competitive. This list will help you a lot. This is a tiny list that I put together to help you get the documentation you may not have today. So you can register in SAMS.gov, you can register at a bunch of vendor registration portals. You always need to have your W-9. It has to be up to date. A lot of entities are going to ask you to sign it physically. For example, CPS here in San Antonio, they actually ask for a physically signed W-9. You want to have your business license and or local registration at hand. You can get that at the Texas Comptroller or Secretary of State website. They charge you $1 for every time you get your license if you don't have it already. Then insurance. Insurance is critical. It's critical. Why? Okay. If you do competitive bidding, they're going to ask you for it. What kinds of insurance? It's a topic for another webinar. But they're going to ask you for it. If you don't do competitive bidding and you're doing non-competitive opportunities, having insurance makes you look 1,000 times more professional. And even though it's on the pricier side of things, I believe it's still not too bad for the competitive advantage you get, plus the protection side. You're going to need to have the CVs or resumes of the people in your team. Even if your team is a one-person team, a two-person team, three-person team, you need to have your resumes, because sometimes they'll say, hey, let's see. I really like what you're offering me. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Anisha. I really like what you got. I really like your company. It looks really good. Can I see what your experience is? And they're going to ask you for your resume. The reason why I'm suggesting you to have this checklist ready before you begin your efforts is because speed is the #1 critical sales determinant in today's market. If you're fast to respond, if you have the documents quickly back to your client, then your chances of closing a deal are 67% higher than your competitors who take longer to respond to sales approaches or quote requests. And this is one of the things. If they ask you for a quote, let's say the Northside Independent School District reaches out to you and says, hey, can you please give me a quote? Dominique, would you please give me a quote? And you get back to them real fast. It takes you 6 minutes to send them a quote. They're happy. But happiness goes away. How do you keep them happy? And they say, hey, can you please send us the CVs of the company that you have, the people that you have in staff? And that takes you 4 hours. Okay, didn't plan for that. So when you have everything ready right away, you can close a lot more deals. So okay, CVs, resumes, company history. When did you start? Why did you start? How was it started? Is it a corporation? Is it an S corporation? Is it a single ownership? Is it a partnership? Whatever it is, tell them. They want to know. Management structure. Even if you are one person and you have 5 independent contractors, they want to see that you did the homework of documenting the structure of your company. Price list. This is critical. This is #1. You need to have a price list to share right away. Depending on what business you're in, you can put your prices on your website, you may not, but it's critical for you to have a comprehensive, detailed price list ready to deliver upon request. And we mentioned this before. Get your NAICS codes, have them ready for this purpose. For your NAICS codes, I'm going to show you another one of the tools of my design. Now I'm going to move you over to my Google Chrome browser, which is where I run 60% of my operation. And I'm going to move to this tab, which is Google Spreadsheet. And this is where I keep a list of all the competitive and non-competitive opportunities that I am working on. And if you follow my mouse, I'm going to show you now. I have another tab with my NIGP codes. They're ready to deliver, ready to share. I have another tab where I have all my NAIC codes. And I also happen to have my UNSPC codes ready to share. So that whoever asks you, hey, can you please send me what your NAIC codes are? Done. You come here, do a bit of a copy paste, copy, okay. You go to your email portal and you paste it and you send it. And you have it in 2 minutes, 30 seconds, super fast is the point. So back to our presentation, the last thing that you want to have is your executive summary to share right away. Executive summary means typically one page. This is different from the marketing capability statement. Pretty similar, but it's different. An executive summary talks about who the company is, and it's going to be service and or product specific. If you're doing 3 services, you're going to need to have 3 executive summaries ready to deliver. And your executive summary has to be on a letterhead, and it has to have very specific elements. If you have these checklists, chances are you are ready to go out there and start capitalizing on some fabulous, low-hanging, non-competitive opportunities for you. And having said that, this is making sense to you. And of course, you're going to get the deck with you. I'm going to take another 3 more minutes to share some tactics. I mentioned one already, which is speed. The faster you respond, actually, as you can see, I have actual data, up-to-date data. This data is from June 2023. Speed, 15 minutes for email responses, 1 minute for social. If you take longer to respond in social, people don't answer, they don't care, they lost interest. Social is a speed game. Sales is a speed game. The faster you get back to people, the easier it's going to be for you to close the deal. Email quality. When I say quality, come on, Alex. What do you mean email quality? It means craft the message you are writing to people. You don't need to be a writer. You don't need to pay a writer. You need to take your time to think about the message you're sending in the email, the tone, and the recipient of your message. Who is it? Who is the person who's receiving your message? And for that purpose, you can use ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, and I have very specific tactics that I can help you with on ChatGPT. You need to help ChatGPT help you. It's a little bit of a Bible situation going on there. Help yourself so that God can help you, regardless of your beliefs. Help yourself so that ChatGPT can help you. Write the appropriate questions with appropriate level of detail, with appropriate instructions. And when it comes to email, tell ChatGPT, I want to send an email that's polite, and I want to tell them the message of this, this, and that. Can you please help me write that message? Okay. Next thing that you need to have your, whenever possible, pick up the phone, call a person. Yes, digital is a thing, and there's bots, and there's chats, and there's Facebook, and there's phone is still a super powerful sales technique. Some people will be responsive over email, and they'll tell you, hey, it's easier for you to email me. But if you happen to have the person's phone number, it's an appreciated gesture. Therefore, it makes you look better than any of your competitors. This is one of my favorite tactics. Even if you will not do a bid, submit a competitive bid and proposal, I strongly encourage you to go to bid meetings, small business meetings, vendor development meetings. Go to those meetings. If they're face-to-face, so much better. Network with the decision makers so that they know who you are and they know what you do by the time they'll need your services. And that, my friends, my very dear entrepreneurs, is all the content that I have for you. It's time for you to ask any questions you have. Get in touch with me. You can sign up for, I'm sharing all of this stuff that I'm sharing with you. I share it on my blog. I'm actually about to start a live LinkedIn broadcasting series, and you can get in touch with me via LinkedIn. I always get back to as many people as I can. And thank you for your precious attention. Now we're open for questions.
Alex, there was one earlier, and it said good to add a home address if a person works from home on the MCS.
It's not a bad, that's a good question, Anna. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with it. I would strongly recommend you, if you can, to get an address in a co-working space and use that address for privacy purposes. I happen to believe it's just more respectful of your privacy. And then it also keeps things separate. That's what I do. If your operation is small and you don't have a physical address, I think co-working spaces can be a great solution for that particular situation, Anna.
Let me see. I think that's it. Let me see. She said thank you. Anna said thank you. And Francisca did upload your next workshop. So if you all are interested, if you guys are just taken away with all of Alex's information, you can register for his next webinar by clicking on the link that's on the chat. Alex, I did have a question with regards to the marketing capability statement. So based on the templates that you used and everything like that, graphic wise, less is more, or anything that would complement the statement itself? Your thoughts?
That's a really good question, and it depends completely. So what I've observed and what the data shows is that it depends completely on the person who's receiving it or the person who's receiving it. If you're sending it to a very, let's say, to a law firm, then you might as well just stay with text and very, very minimum graphics. If you're sending it to, like, for example, a school district, I have observed that some school districts tend to be more on the graphic side. So to answer your question, there is no rule. I've seen some people being extremely successful with, some clients being extremely successful with text-only marketing capability statements, no graphics at all. But they're very clear and very concise in the messaging in a marketing capability statement. And then I've seen some other people putting a lot of design. For example, if you're a designer, if you are in graphic design, web design, if you do social media, if you do photography, ideally, yes, your marketing capability statement should be on the graphic side of things. If you do, for example, business consulting, I think generally speaking, what's going to determine the level of visualness of your marketing capability statement can be determined by the business you're in. That's what I have observed, because the truth is that there is no generalized, there is no such thing as, oh, this is the marketing capability format that's going to work for everyone. That's not the case.
Do you by any chance have one that is just one that was just terrible? A quick avail, really, really quick. And I like to show that one that of course is stellar and the other that is just like, oh.
I have one that is great. I actually do have one that's great that was just shared with me. And he's a so a terrible one is going to be yeah, because the marketing capability statement has a completely different here. This is a really, really good one. And this was done with Canva.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is, I think, an example of a good one, but not great, because it doesn't have the night codes. The contact information is there. For example, then the information about the about us. There's not much about cleaning here. It's very corporate, which is good because of the type of clients that this particular company is trying to get. They're mentioning their insurance, but it's not in bullet points. So I think this is a good example of a pretty good marketing capability statement. Not the best you're going to find, but this is a really good idea of what works, and it looks good, and it's using a template that's going to do a really good job for you.
So if you would
And it's
tweak
easy to read.
so if you would
Yes.
tweak it, what would you do?
Okay, this one, what I would tweak, for example, specifically is the why choose us. I would turn that into bullet points. So you can easily understand that they're licensed, that they're insured, and they have a bond, which is super relevant for their industry, and the why choose us component. Then in the about us, they say a family-owned business, which is good, 20 years of experience. I'll probably make a little bit more emphasis on the Bay Area component. They have one testimonial. In the testimonial part, for example, if this marketing capability statement is intended for a non-competitive opportunity, I would definitely put numbers, such as our cleaning time is 20% faster than our competition. Will help you save 17% on cleaning supplies. That's how I would tweak this one in particular.
Gotcha. Would you maybe another picture that's not so corporate, maybe something that shows some kind of cleaning instrument, cleaning equipment, something, or no?
So in that case, I think it would be a good idea for this company to have, for example, 3 marketing capability statements. One with this image, which is what they're going to be sending to office buildings, for example, or co-working spaces, or building managers. And then another one with more of a hospital setting, which is what they're going to be sending to clinics and veterinary hospitals or something like that, depending on the clients. So what I would basically do is have 3 different ones with 3 different images that are each one is going to be relevant to the recipient of the marketing capability statement.
So that's a good point. So based on the company that they're going to solicit, right? To kind
Correct.
of right, to kind of tweak the capability statement to match that particular
Exactly.
business. That's great. That's great advice. All righty. I think that's it, Alex. I don't think we have any more questions. Francisca, do you see any that I don't?
No, I think you got him.
Okay. All righty, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Again, if you want to reach out to the SBDC for assistance, we encourage each and every one of you to utilize these no-cost services. And of course, you have Alex's information as well. He's always ready to answer a question or two. Correct, Alex?
That's right. Always.
All right. All righty, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great Thursday and enjoy the weather. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Jessica.